time to talk business. The Central Bank of Nigeria has increased intervention in the foreign exchange market, though Nigeria's external reserves depreciated by $866.2 million, or 2.26% in October 2022, to $37.39 billion from $38.255 billion. It's opened in a month under review. In 10 months, the nation's foreign exchange buffer has depreciated by 7.73% as of October 31, 2022. Analysts attribute the decline in external reserves to increasing intervention by policies of the Apex Bank, lamenting the dwindling inflow from crude oil, among others. They said the crisis in the Niger Delta relating to oil theft and dwindling production has impeded the external reserves growth despite increase in global oil prices. Meanwhile, the federal government says Nigeria will require $1.9 trillion or 834 trillion naira to attain net zero by 2060 as part of its support to the global fight against climate change and meeting the country's energy transition plan. Well, that's according to a document of the energy transition plan, which translates to about $10 billion or 4 trillion naira annually over the coming decades. To kickstart the implementation of the plan, the federal government says the country would raise an initial $10 billion support package ahead of the COP27 holding here in Africa, Egypt precisely, adding that a $23 billion investment opportunity had also been identified. According to the document, there will be incremental investments from 2021 through 2060 to attain the energy transition plan. Now, the success of Nigeria's 2023 budget depends on extensive fiscal and monetary measures to address the wide gap between Nigeria's declining revenue and productivity levels and its ballooning expenditures. This position is shared by tax professionals who disclosed this at a gathering here in Lagos. There's more details in this report.
It's a gathering of tax, economic and financial experts. They are here to, among other things, take a cursory look at Nigeria's economy and the 2023 budget, as well as how issues around the deficit and declining revenue can be addressed. President of the CITN, alongside the new chairman of Lagos and District Society, expressed mixed reactions.
Looking at a budget that is premised on speculation, which has to do with the fact that we are projecting. And when we put this vis-a-vis what we are talking about in terms of trade policy, in terms of fiscal policy, and our monetary policy, we are equally challenged.
It's imperative that we start talking tax. It's important because bulk of that 1 trillion from the 9 that is going to be generated internally is going to be generated from non-oil revenues. So if out of 9, 1.7 or thereabout is coming from non-oil revenue, that means a huge chunk of what the government is expecting to generate next year is coming from non-tax.
For the 18th chairman of the CITN, Lagos and District Society, Mrs. Zainab Abdul Karim, the realization of the key objectives and headline figures of the budget is to improve revenue drive.
We have a culture, and it's a rich one, but we will allow for innovation and creativity in our programs. The core mandate of CITN is to ensure the continuous training of people or those who want to be tax practitioners in Nigeria. So what we're going to be doing is ensuring and using all avenues, ICT and all avenues available to ensure their continuous training.
And as the district begins a new tenure with Mrs. Abdul Karim as chairman, it is expected that more engagements with government and stakeholders will serve as catalysts for revenue generation in the country.
And outside Nigeria, let's turn to global markets now as U.S. stock futures and commodities slipped in Asia today after Beijing denied it was considering easing its zero COVID-19 policy, though resilience in Asian equities took some of the sting out of the selling. S&P 500 futures dipped at 0.2%, while Nasdaq futures lost at 0.3%. Eurostoxx 50 futures lost at 0.2% and FTSE futures 0.6% amid reports the UK government was planning tax rises and spending cuts. China's blue chips edged up at 0.2%. A decent performance given data released earlier had showed Chinese exports and imports both contracted in October and missed forecasts. MSCI's Broadex Index of Asia-Pacific shares outside Japan added at 1.0%, while Japan's Nikkei rose at 1.2%, and South Korea, still in Asia, was up at 0.8%. Away from global markets, Meta Platforms Incorporated is planning to begin large-scale layoffs this week that will affect thousands of employees. Though the platform has declined to comment, reports are suggesting an announcement is planned as early as Wednesday this week. The disappointing outlook comes as Meta is contending with slowing global economic growth, competition from TikTok, privacy changes from Apple, concerns about massive spending on the metaverse, and ever-present threat of regulation. Executive Chief Mr. Mark Zuckerberg said he expects the metaverse investment to take about a decade to bear fruit. In the meantime, he has said he had to freeze hiring shooter projects and recognize teams to trim cost of the platform. And China's exports and imports unexpectedly contracted in the month of October, the first simultaneous slump since May 2020, as a perfect storm of COVID curbs at home and global recession risks dented demand and further darkened the outlook for a struggling economy. The bleak data highlights the challenge for policymakers in China as the president with pandemic prevention measures and tried to navigate broad pressure from surging inflation, sweeping increases in worldwide interest rates, and a global slowdown. The data suggests demand remains frail overall, and analysts are warning of further gloom for exporters over the coming quarters, heaping more pressure on the country's manufacturing sector and the world's second biggest economy grappling with persistent COVID-19 curbs and protracted property weakness. Let's wrap things off now with oil prices on the international market as they fell more than $1 a barrel today after China's health officials over the weekend reiterated their commitment, dashing hopes of a rebound in oil demand from the world's top crude importer. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude fell today, selling for $92.37 per barrel, with a price decline of 0.26%. Brent crude futures also experienced a downward price review of 0.19%, selling at $98.38 per barrel. Bonnie Light sells at $98.40 per barrel, with an uptick of 2.36%. And for the OPEC basket, crude oil dealers are selling for $93.51 per barrel, with a downward price margin of 1.30%.